Hello everyone, welcome back to Lab for Crypto. Today I will explain why I believe we are not in an altcoin season and why this summer is crucial for investors to make well-informed decisions. In my opinion, this summer will be an excellent accumulation period for altcoins and Bitcoin, but needs to be done correctly. Through this video, I'm going to explain why I came to this conclusion, and I'm going to start first from the FOMC meeting press release that it was released yesterday, because it's important for us to understand the health of the US economy and what the Fed are doing with their balance sheet. As when the US market is going to enter the quantitative easing period, most probably Bitcoin, altcoins, and generally risky assets are going to perform really well. And what we have seen the past couple of months in the crypto market, I believe it's nothing compared to what it's coming. Let me dive into the graphs and explain my thesis around my conclusion. Before I dive into the graphs, I would like to let you know that I read your feedback and I will try to keep this video short and this analysis concise. Also, if you like the content, please like and leave us a comment, as that helps us a lot to grow our YouTube channel. Let's dive in. At the FOMC meeting, the Fed announced that they are going to keep the interest rates steady at 5.5%. And these are values that we have seen in the market since July 2023. And the reasoning behind their decision to keep the rates steady for longer are outlined in this Federal Reserve press release PDF. I'm going to have the link in the description below if you want to read it, but I'm going to outline some important points from the PDF, and that will help me explain my thesis around the altcoin season. The Fed are committed to bring inflation to the 2% mark. I know that a lot of people in the market are expecting the Fed to raise this threshold to 3%, but as they told us many times through this year, is that their target is still 2%. And if we check the graph, currently we are at 3.5%, which is well above the 2% mark. The Fed decided to keep the rates at this 5.5% mark for longer because they think that the US economy is strong. And I will explain that in a bit. But first, let's move to the third paragraph, which they said, beginning in June, the committee will slow the pace of decline of its securities holdings by reducing the monthly redemption cap on treasury securities from 60 billion to 25 billion. And what that means is that the rate of their quantitative tightening is going to be reduced. Every month, they are constructing their balance sheet by 60 billion, but now they are going to do it by only 25. That is why you see the markets run a bit, but in my opinion, they are going to still roll over and they're going to go to lower prices as we go deep into the summer. Do not be mistaken. As long as you see this line going down, even with a different rate, that means we are in a quantitative tightening era and not in a quantitative easing. Quantitative easing, you see this line going up. Moving to the PDF again, the Fed believe that the labor demand is high. And what that means in short is that because the labor market is strong in the US, they decided to keep the rates at the 5.5% rate for at least one more month until the next FOMC meeting. And you can ask me, okay, what that means? In short, if you go and check the data, for every unemployed worker in the US, they are available 1.32 jobs. So in short, if you want to find a job in the US, you are going to find because there are plenty. And I know from the news, you maybe get the feeling that the job market in the US is not that strong because of the layoffs of big tech companies. But from the data that the Fed has, that is not the case. And our job is to identify now what's going to happen to Bitcoin and altcoins when the quantitative easing is going to happen and how we can prepare. By seeing the graph, in 2019, the rates were at 2.5% and then they were dropped at 0.25. And when that happens, you can see the run of Ethereum. It was an explosive one. And now we are at this plateau region. And our job is to understand what we can do with our capital as investors. And let's dive into this graph because it's important to understand why I'm saying this about altcoins. And also I'm going to touch on Bitcoin. And then I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen in the summer and what I am going to do basically. Everybody's expecting rate cuts, and it's good for us to understand why. At the last time when we had rates at 2.5%, and then the Fed started rate cuts and we reached the lowest point of 0.25%, the markets rally exponentially. And if we check Ethereum, for example, it went from $19 to 4.8K. And that is why the markets are expecting the rate cuts. And you see everywhere and in the Twitter this graph, the probabilities of the rate cuts of the Fed. But if we go back to the graph, we will notice that the first rate cut occurred in July 2019. And the actual price of Ethereum did not went upwards, but it went downwards. And as the Fed are reducing the rates for a period of couple of months, you will see the price of ETH going lower and lower. And then when we had the last rate cut, go to this parabolic rally. And the reason, in my opinion, for this drop in altcoins and also in Bitcoin, but altcoins have always a bigger hit compared to Bitcoin, is that the market is not sure that the Fed have performed a good job and they have managed to deliver a soft landing. So for them, the market, I mean, as general, they want to put their capital to a safer asset, and in the crypto market, at least, is Bitcoin. So that is why I'm expecting a transition and liquidity move from altcoins to Bitcoin as we go to the first rate cut, and then have, of course, the altcoin season that everybody wants, which, as I said, I understand why you want it and I want it as well. But for us, we are not in this period yet. We are a bit behind. And also, except from this graph, I have two more graphs which basically help me make my mind around the altcoin season. The next one is the altcoin season index, which basically is monitoring the performance of the top 50 altcoins. And if the top 50 altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin, this red line goes above the purple line. And when we are in this period, that means altcoins are doing better than Bitcoin. And when this red line is below the green line, means that Bitcoin is performing much better than altcoins. The region in between is an undecided region, let's say, but usually Bitcoin, as you will see recently, is doing better than altcoins. The last graph that is helping me decide about the fate of altcoins is the fact that nobody cares about crypto and Bitcoin now. If we check the interest over time for crypto, you will see that we are in values that we were in the bear market. And that means how altcoins are going to pump in a consistent way if there is no interest in the market. Because do not forget how the markets work. Someone owns an asset and then someone else believes that this worth more and is going to go to higher valuations and is going to buy it from someone that is willing to sell it. It's a supply and demand dynamics. And if you don't have interest, and also if you check the total volume, the trading volume. So the altcoin trading volume, it's dropping since March 18th, 2024, and now we are in a downturn, and this is a 40-day SMA. If you check also the 30-day SMA, is showing the same thing. And I expect that to continue dropping until we reach mid-summer, and then we're going to start seeing people after August starting to feel more comfortable to allocate some of their capital to risky assets if they are continue believing that the rate cuts are close, and therefore no one is going to catch the exact bottom, and maybe they're going to start DCAing at these values as we progress through summer. And if we go and check one more graph that I have, which is the unemployment rate in the US, this graph is going to change what I believe for the market if the unemployment rate in the US suddenly goes parabolic, as it usually goes when there is a sustained increase. I mark some points so you will see that when the unemployment rate increases, it does not increases linearly, so it does not give you a head start. It's exponentially growing, and in my opinion, if that happens in the next couple of months, the Fed are going to induce the first rate cut sooner than expected. So it can be done somewhere in July, for example, instead of September or November that the market is expecting. As a result, it's important for us to monitor the unemployment rate as we go into the summer, and we need to build our strategy to choose the best altcoins. And I choose mine, and I have published it in the Telegram Premium for the users. But you can choose your favorite altcoins as well. And as we go into the summer, start preparing an accumulation or an exit, even if you want, and if you want to go fully on Bitcoin or whatever. The important aspect here is to build a strategy, as the summer is really, really important for the market. As if we have a similar scenario like we had in 2020 to 21, imagine what is going to happen into the Bitcoin and the crypto market, especially now that we have an institutional demand, which from the spot ETF inflows that we see every day, it's important for us to encompass that in our calculations as well. And in combination with the quantitative easing, the start of the full steam bull run is expected in 2025, in my opinion. And for us as investors, this summer is actually the period that we were preparing ourselves the last 3 years. So do not mess this up. Try to make a strategy, try to make a plan, and wait the fun part of the market, which is the full steam bull run. Personally, my portfolio is heavy in Bitcoin. And of course, I have some alts, but it's a really, really small percentage compared to my Bitcoin. And as we move into the summer and the end of Q3, using the risk metric that we have, I'm going to accumulate the 7 alts that I am already watching closely and accumulate them when they enter the region which in my risk tolerance are acceptable to accumulate. I hope you liked the video. Do not forget to give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Until next time, bye bye.